All right, welcome back to the Pal Bros movie reviews. We got a very new movie for you guys
Yes, the
compared to the other
newest of all
movies.
our movies.
Yeah, the
We haven't
very
done a
most
new
recent
theatrical
Marvel movie.
release current
Yeah,
movie
no,
yet. So
no, it fit right in with our timeline order that we're doing everything. So this movie and Daredevil, which will be our next movie, both came out on Valentine's Day and
yep,
both take place in 2003. So they kind of technically take place at the
the
same time as
movies of
to the best of
love.
my knowledge. So it's a very new movie, just came out, especially compared to all the other movies we've been doing and will be doing. But yeah, Madam Web. Trent, what were your initial reactions? I know, okay, so let me say one more thing.
Go for it.
I know the reactions from everybody else have been that this is basically the
Pretty
worst movie in existence.
well. I would say worst movie,
And
but worst superhero movie.
yeah, it's definitely been considered the worst superhero movie for sure.
Like
Even more
Fantastic
than,
Four level. Howard the Duck. For
yeah,
us, the Punisher '89 level bad.
yeah.
Like
Yep. All right. So, Trent, what were your initial reactions?
okay, so I did go into this movie pretty pessimistic about it. I didn't expect to like it. I I did my best to be as objective as I could be, and I do believe I was objective. Now that I finally have seen it, after hearing a lot of people's reviews and opinions of the movie, after seeing the box office failure that it was, because it's pretty much out of theaters now, I will say that I agree with everyone except for Tobiah. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know, and you might have changed your views. I understand. We'll get there because we haven't talked about Tobiah. And I not. We both have seen it as
Yeah.
of recent. He saw it again. I saw
Yeah.
it the other day. We have not talked about this. Okay. I absolutely hated this movie. I, I thought it was awful. There's maybe one or two redeemable things about this movie, but even those things are not that great. I think this movie was a complete mess. This is Morbius level bad, but worse than Morbius. And I hated Morbius. And that was a movie I really wanted to love going into it, but it was just bad. And this obviously was made by the same writers, same studio. Oh boy, it had so many problems from the beginning. My biggest issue was the dialogue and the exposition dumps. It was just annoying. It was jarring. It was just so cringy and bad. However, it was humorous at the same time. Like, this movie made me laugh more than a movie's made me laugh in a while. I thought this movie was hilarious. So in a sense there was some enjoyment, but I was also really bored and I didn't want to finish it. I halfway through the movie I was done. But I stuck through it for you guys. I suffered through it and I watched the whole movie, but man, it like I said, there's some redeemable things that we can get to, but for the most part, I just think everything about this movie is just a gobbledygook mess. Just terrible writing, terrible directing. Like, that's one thing I want us to talk about a little bit. We don't talk about directing enough. We should, and I think we will start doing that. But the directing in this movie was so terrible that it made me really frustrated. Granted, like, this wasn't a movie I ever wanted or was like looking forward to. Like, I mean, Madam Web's a big part of the Spider-Man comics, and I love Spider-Man and I love the Spider-Man comics, but I've been kind of always indifferent towards the Madam Web character, and I'm very indifferent towards this movie. I could care less about it. I will never watch it again. I'm stating that now. I'm putting this on the record. I will never watch this movie ever again. There's just I have no reason to. I've never cringed so much during a movie. And we've seen Howard the Duck. We've seen The Punisher, '89. I've seen X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's just, but this one, as far as like superhero, like we can talk. Okay, where does it sit on a movie level? I don't think this was very much of a superhero movie. I mean, the protagonist has superpowers, but it's just typical superhero movies. This was lacking in so many ways, and man, I could go on and on. We'll get into it. But those are my views. Like I said, it was hilarious because of how hilariously bad it was, but it was a bad movie. I'm sorry. It was. It just was. So that's it. Tobiah, what was your second viewership reaction? What was your reaction to it after seeing it the second time?
Okay, so the things that I liked about it the first time, I still liked the second time.
Okay.
I noticed a lot more mistakes and issues with it in the second go round. There was definitely a lot of inconsistencies, and honestly, this movie, like it feels like a fan made movie. Like if you're a big Madam Web fan, like it feels like a fan film. Did you ever see Spider-Man Lotus? That fan film?
I never saw it. I saw clips of it, and I know
it gives the same vibes as that movie for sure.
It's like a CW superhero movie.
As far as quality, yeah, the quality of this production, I saw this both times, it is so horrible, like technologically, which we'll get into. We usually get into that at the end, but I'm just gonna get into like my reactions, and that really stumps you. Even the costumes, all of that was just very mediocre at best.
At best.
I agree the dialogue was pretty weak and cheesy, and some of it felt very forced and sometimes weird. It didn't make sense sometimes.
Yes.
And we can get into that. I think that also plays a role into the technological issues played a role into that, or they go hand in hand. Some of the things I did think were redeeming about this movie was the overall story and some of the themes and messages in the movie.
Okay.
Which I'll
sure.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong or very optimistically, but so yeah, let's get into the story. What do you think of the story?
Let's do it. I think the two words that I can use to describe this story is just plot convenience. There was convenient thing after convenient thing throughout the entire movie. Almost every single scene, things just conveniently happen for the heroes to move the plot ahead, that were very jarring to me. And what is the story? This woman who goes to the Amazon, who's pregnant, very pregnant, about to give birth, pregnant, who goes to the Amazon. We don't know at the beginning of the movie. Was that the opening scene? I can't remember. The opening scene was her. Yeah, okay. We don't know at the beginning of the movie why it is that she is there. We find out later. And like movies can do that, stories can do that, where it's like you show something at the beginning, and you explain it later and give reason for it that gives more of an emotional punch and impact and helps understand this point. But when that emotional punch and impact is so dumb, I think it's just, I'm sorry. It's just, it still makes the opening scene pointless almost to some extent. She's in the Amazon. She's looking for a spider for some reason. We don't know when we start the movie. She finds it. She finds one of the spiders that she's looking for. We don't know much. We don't find out at all. Like, are there, as far as I know, are there multiple spiders? Is there literally just one out there that she know that its existence? I don't think so. I think there should be many of them.
It's like a species.
Yeah. But she finds one, and she has to hold on to this one to the point where she risks her life and is killed because she won't give up this one, when there's probably many others out there. I don't know. But her partner, her sidekick, turns on her, betrays her, and shoots her, and she's pregnant. And you think that she would die, but nope, she gets rescued by these random spider people, this tribe deep in the jungles of the Amazon or Mexico. I don't know where. I know they're Mexicans. So anyways, they find her, they save her, and then they form this ritual and save the baby, but they can't save the mom. And then cut to today, cut to 2003, and this lady, Cassandra, is alive and well. She's a paramedic. She's in America. I have no idea. We have no idea how she got there. Did the Amazon people just ship her off and get her birth certificate and get her into the foster care system. I don't know. I don't know what her upbringing is, but she's there. Okay. And now she's, working as a paramedic, and guess who her partner is? It's Ben Parker. Uncle Ben. And we'll get into that later because of some comments that were made about Uncle Ben that I think were kind of ridiculous. But for some reason, at this age, in 2003, she's a grown woman. She's kind of a loner. She's a cat lady. Like, I'm saying, like, she's not married or anything. She's single and alone. But she, for some reason, starts having these weird occurrences where she sees into the future and starts experiencing things before they happen.
And that's all. It was triggered when she was in the accident. That's
when she fell in the water?
She was in the... Yeah, when she fell in the water
Okay.
and hit her head on the windshield. So then, that's what triggers it.
So trauma triggers it.
Yeah.
And now she starts having these continual occurrences where she sees in the future.
Most of the movie from there is just she's trying to figure out why she's seeing in the future.
Why she has.
She's just confused.
Yeah.
And then eventually she's just like, I see in the future. That's what she tells the kids. Mm-hmm. And
right. And then they laugh at it. And
yeah.
Oh boy. Eventually, for some reason, she runs into these three random teenagers, and they end up together because they find out that there's a villain. The guy that killed her mom at the beginning, her partner who betrayed her, is now this generic millionaire who I don't know is having these dreams. I don't understand who this guy is. Like, is it explained? I don't know. Maybe I can't remember. But
they talk about how, I mean, other than his connection to her, they don't explain who he is at all. Okay. Like, other than connection with her, with the main character's mom.
Right.
Other than that, they don't really explain who he is.
Yeah.
But they do explain that because he's going after these three girls because he has these visions every single night of them killing him.
Same three
and so
faces
he's trying to stop his own death.
Yeah.
At any cost. And so, I mean, we get introduced that he's evil by killing the girl in the beginning,
right?
Or whatever. But
and that he now wants to kill these three teenagers.
Oh yeah, he kills. He wants to kill them. He killed the agent or whatever that he slept with.
Oh,
and then
let's talk about that. Sorry, we should do a part 2 of this. I could tell this movie apart bit by bit, scene by scene.
But let me
go ahead.
I haven't gotten to my point yet.
Okay, sorry.
My point was that he is seeing these dreams because he was cursed, or not cursed, but I think they do use the word curse.
By the spider. They said
the weird spider people say that because he has evil intentions. Because he had evil intentions, he's cursed with the vision of his own death.
Really? When they say that?
And then we find out it was a fake vision the whole time because that's not how he actually dies. When Madam Web goes to visit them, that's when they explain that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was checked out by then, but well, and at the beginning of the movie, the guy says the baby's gonna come back and ask for answers, which doesn't make any sense. So so you sent her to the U.S. and then just expected that she's gonna come back eventually because she's gonna have these visions or she's gonna have these powers. How do they know that she's gonna have these powers?
Yeah. I didn't even think about the fact that she was with them and without her mom, and then she's in New York.
Right.
Like, you think, because there's tons of these spider people, so why didn't they just raise her? It doesn't make any sense.
None of this movie makes sense. I'm sorry. Okay, so the NSA agent lady, they meet at the opera or the ball or something. They meet and he sleeps with her, and in the middle of the night he wakes up after having a bad dream, a vision of his death, which he has often apparently. And then he says some very generic lines like "same three faces." I saw a vision of what did he say? He said of how I'm going to be murdered or something. I wrote it down.
Okay, no. So let's get into his.
No, sorry. He says, "I'm going to be murdered someday." Do you know? why
Okay.
a lot of his lines are really
Okay, no,
terribly
yeah.
delivered.
No, so
I'm sorry,
okay,
I'm
I
getting
don't
really
I don't
worked up.
know why. So, but this is what I've
I'll tell you
noticed by
why.
watching it twice.
Go ahead.
No, all of his lines are ADR.
Yep, all of them. They're
All of
dubbed.
them.
Yep, exactly.
And you can very clearly see it in most of the scenes that he's in.
Where the
Like, very
words
clearly,
don't
'cause
match his lips.
his mouth is doing this, but the words are not matching at all. And he
Yep.
sounds very monotone. Like every single line sounds exactly the same.
Right. Because it was ADR. It was dubbed.
Yeah.
Probably because of reshoots and script changes
Yeah.
or
Oh,
something.
well, they
like,
probably had. Yeah, they probably had to. He must have done horrible acting the first time around
Something,
or
dude. I don't
something.
know.
Like, I don't even know if it's the same guy that voiced the ADR.
Right. Who knows?
They
I
probably
don't know.
hired someone else.
Yeah, probably. Oh, brother. Which, like I said, we'll get into it, but I blame it on the director. I don't know the actor. I don't know him anything. Dakota Johnson, she was awful in this whole movie. She's very wooden. I mean, I'll blame it on the director and the writing a lot. I don't watch any. I haven't seen a movie with Dakota Johnson before, so I don't know how she is.
Yeah, we'll get into into all the acting,
but going back to the story, this NSA agent, she sleeps with him. They wake up in the middle of the night, and he tells her, "I'm going to be murdered someday. I have visions of this same 3 women who are going to kill me." And you know how she responds? She's like, "Oh, really? Tell me more. Oh, really? Oh, that's so great. That's so sad. Oh, really? Same 3 this I don't know." She says something, I can't remember what she says exactly. But she was like okay with it, instead of recognizing that, oh, this man's a psychopath. Oh, I need to go. I need to leave. He's probably going to kill me.
Yeah.
Like if someone wakes up and has like visions of like their death or something, or it says something weird, like your response shouldn't be like, "Oh, really? Okay, that's fun." No, you should be like, "Okay, I'm out of here." And then and then he poisons her, and in order to get her to tell him the password to this. Oh, okay, no. I can't remember exactly what he says, but basically, like, he pretty much says, I need the technology in order to find out who these 3 faces are. And apparently and he says, like, the NSA now has the technology to be able to extract images from your brain and to find out, and figure out who, like, who you're dreaming of, or who you're thinking of, or I don't know, whatever. Says something really dumb, and it's exposition dumb, and he says, like, I need that, or only the NSA has access to this or something, and she's an NSA. She's an NSA agent. Whatever.
So he said that NSA has the technology to find any face. Like, they can find anybody through cameras and stuff.
In 2003.
Yeah. The way they get the faces later on in the movie.
Yes.
Like how they have them on the computer, they're like guessing.
Yes.
Was just technology. Like, they're like, based off your description, this is what they should look like, and it's just a picture of them.
And then this was
not like a
10 years
drawing or
younger,
anything.
because he knows that it's been 10, like, he guesses 10 years. In the visions, he has gray hair, so I don't know. I guess he can just assess, okay, I look like about 10 years older. I'm gonna bring these women with masks, which, typically in superhero movies, when someone wears a mask, you can't figure out their identity. But apparently, this computer can figure out the identity, not only what these women look like without their mask, but what they look like 10 years younger, and then match it with 3 random women in the world, who happen to, of course, be in the same city that he lives in, and so forth, which I guess makes sense if they're going to kill him. I don't know. Okay. So he poisons this NSA agent. She's about to die, but he somehow convinces her to give him the password, because I guess he says, like, you're going to die if you don't tell me. Woman, lady, he's going to kill you no matter what. Like, you're already poisoned. He's not gonna, like, why would she think that he's going to, like, save her if you get the password? Why would she just give him a fake password? Anyways, okay, I'm sorry. I could tear apart.
The question is, why is there just a 6-digit code?
Yeah, I know.
That gives you access.
Like, this gives you access to the most, like, technologically advanced system in the world. in 2003. Uh, but yeah, I figure it gets the password from her, and then he's able to get access to this system and use it. And then he hires this assistant who's okay with him going out and murdering three teenage girls, random teenage girls that you really don't know if they're actually the right they're the right match to the women that he has in his dream. But because they're able to figure out this machine, they're just assuming, okay, these are the three women. Oh, we found them. Or sometimes they find them and they lose them, and then he gets really mad and he says, you know how much I'm paying you to find these women, and she questions it for a moment, the assistant, but then she's like okay with it, and she's like, okay, I found them, or she's able to figure it out and help him out.
Yeah.
But she's totally fine, and then we don't really
we don't
get
he's
anything
like,
from her,
he's like, I'll pay you really well, and then she's like, okay.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, money talks. Okay.
But yeah, okay, so we should probably stop hanging on all these
I know.
details.
We need to keep going.
Let's go to like more like the themes and
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Let's do it.
motives and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we got, like you had said, this very lonely career woman
and very unlikable. There's nothing likable about her. She's a jerk to everyone that she's around, except for maybe Ben Parker, but she's still kind of unpleasant to him as well. But and just saying, at the beginning, which okay, character development, character growth, maybe, but she's a jerk. She's a jerk to the three girls, and anyways, so continue.
Yeah, so she's just unsatisfied in life and her career. She doesn't know where she belongs. So she's just kind of, not content with it, but she's just like, whatever. And then she finally gets her powers, and then something actually interesting starts happening in her life. So she starts to, like have a purpose, and then she ends up just kind of going through life, figuring out these powers. She she sees one of her coworkers or boss die, and then she tries to save him, and she doesn't.
Right.
And
so there's consequences to her powers, which is one thing that I did have an issue with it, is that they didn't play on that more, where like they didn't play off the whole theme of having the ability to see the future should have consequences, where it's like, oh, you see things happen that you can't prevent, and they do that at the beginning, but once she learns the power, she's able to prevent those things, and so there's no beyond that scene, there's no really consequences to her abilities. She's just, everything works out for her because her visions happen very randomly, by the way, and she's able to step in at the right moment every single time to save the girls, to stop the bad guy, to hit him with a car twice in the movie, and do all these things very conveniently, because she has the visions at the right time and the right moment, and she's able to step in at the last minute to save the girls. It's very convenient over and over. A lot of convenience happening throughout the story. But if they would have played on it a little more, like maybe one of the girls gets severely hurt or even dies, like that would be that would weigh heavy, and like it'd be a big deal, and she would have to take responsibility for that, sort of, because she's been given these powers, which we'll get into that line. I did not like the, but anyways, sorry to cut in. Go ahead again. Keep going.
You're good. I don't remember where I was, but so she's just
go ahead.
Just uncontent. She's going through life, learning her powers until she meets these three girls, and it's kind of like more or less explained that she doesn't like kids or anybody
right
before that. So she meets the kids, and she like makes it clear, I'm not saving you. I'm just trying to. Well, she does save them, but after that, she's a paramedic, so that's what she does. But well, what kind of like the scene that kind of explained that she doesn't like kids is she was handed a drawing.
Oh, right.
Of from a kid that she saved her sister or mom or something, and she hands her a drawing saying thank you, which she says. It's so thick you can't even fold it. Then she folds it. I'm like,
Just
Why was that line
and
in there?
what?
She's like, it's so thick you
Why
can't
was
even
that
fold
line in
it.
there?
As
Why
it's,
was every
as it's
single line
folded.
in this movie? I
But anyway. So yeah, so she meets these girls, she saves them,
Yep.
but then she doesn't want to get personal with them. She just wants to kind of leave,
Right.
but she's kind of stuck with them because they all got in a cab together to get away from the bad guy.
Right.
And then she was going to just drop them off at their houses or whatever, but then she hears on the radio that they think she kidnapped the girls. So then she's like, well, shoot, now I got to keep these girls with me because they're the only witnesses. So she actually does kidnap these girls.
Well, yeah, and there's APB out on her because
Yeah.
she's involved in this, and she was seen
It-
pretty much taking three teenage girls. I mean, played by actresses that are like in their mid-20s, but which is fine. Like we
Yeah.
talked about in the last movie, Spider-Man. We saw Spider-Man, and we had like 30-year-olds playing like 18-year-olds, so it's fine. They look. I'd say they made them look like teenagers, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
act like teenagers, sort of. I don't know. Did teenagers act like this in 2003? I think a lot of them probably acted like this in 2024, but I don't know about 2023. I don't even think teenagers are that dumb in 2003, but whatever.
So yeah,
But all three
So
of the girls annoyed me a lot, in a lot of ways. But anyways, go ahead.
So there wasn't really any motive for her. She didn't have any purpose.
No, she was just brought into this.
I'm trying to think of like when, because she ends up having a purpose, and it is to protect these girls. Like she realizes that,
Right.
but I'm trying to think of when that happened and what changed. I mean, that kind of gets into pretty much the third act, where we get her starting to realize her powers and understand them. But I don't know if you want to jump in anytime.
Sure, I totally can. Yes, or she realizes
Yeah.
her powers that are still kind of undefined for us and very random.
Yeah.
She's just able to. Okay, so like when we're talking about movies, yes, we want good stories, and good stories start with good script. And we can talk about themes and stuff as well that do play a big part in this. We want to have good themes. We have good stories that tell a story that's good, beautiful, and true, and that motivate us, that change us, that inspires us. You can do that, but also have a terrible movie. And that's one thing I think we want to make clear in this podcast is that even if you have a great script, you can have an awful movie. You can have terrible directing, terrible dialogue, terrible acting, terrible cinematography. Terrible filming, editing, all these things, and make a terrible movie. Even if it has a good story, it's still a bad movie, because we're talking about movies that are a form of storytelling. I personally don't think even the script and storytelling was very good. I'd say yes, okay, maybe it told a coherent story.
Yeah.
Throughout, maybe, but
I think it did. I mean, besides like the flaws
Yes.
of like
the plot convenience,
the smaller
though,
flaws,
makes it,
that kind of stuff.
No. Yeah.
Plot convenience, yeah. Some of those I didn't notice all those plot conveniences. And
Yeah.
there were definitely a lot.
Right.
Which do make for a bad movie. But
And bad story.
It did have a very clean running through story that it was a very simple story too, so it was easy to follow compared to most other ones.
4 women running from a man who's trying to kill them because he has his ability to see the future. Okay. And
that really is most of her motives was to run away from the evil guy until she realizes, oh, these 3 girls, oh, that's what it was. She realizes that they're all orphans, and just like she is.
And it's funny is that
none of them have parents or family to go to.
Right.
So, I mean, they're not orphans.
Which is
they have parents, but their parents aren't in their lives.
Okay, so the Mexican Hispanic girl, she, and of course her dad was deported. So we can, whatever. Well, we don't have to get into that, but because there's a little bit of identity politics throughout this movie.
Yeah,
it's not that bad. It could have been worse. However, and this is why I have an issue with female-led superhero movies, at least how they are done. Like we've said before, they can be done well. I don't think they're usually done well. Captain Marvel was like this. I think this is actually very similar to Captain Marvel in a lot of ways, in that the main protagonist is given this ability that she needs to unlock, but she doesn't really know who she is or where she came from. She knows, like, so Madam Web, Charlotte, she knows who her mom is, and she knows that her mom was killed in the Amazon, but she doesn't really know why. She doesn't understand how, from what we can tell, she doesn't understand how she survived and how she made it to America, and we're not given much of her, like, post birth. We don't, but it seems like she doesn't know. She's wanting to understand. So she's learning about her past, and she unlocks memories and learns things throughout the film. And as she's doing that, she's unlocking her abilities. And by the end of the film, she goes all girl boss and unlocks her full potential and her full abilities, and pretty easily defeats the male antagonist. That's literally what happened in Captain Marvel, and one of the reasons why he had a lot of issues with Captain Marvel. And
I don't
go ahead.
I don't know that she necessarily. I disagree with you a little bit.
Okay.
I think this was not nearly as. The character itself wasn't nearly as bad as Captain Marvel.
I wouldn't say Captain Marvel was worse.
A warrior that was a female warrior that seeked war and battle and was behaving like a man. Madam Web was much more feminine than Captain Marvel was.
I agree. Yes.
She was more behaving defensively, protectively, like protective of the three girls.
Yeah.
And when she was fighting the guy, I like that she wasn't able to like physically outbeat him. Like it wasn't like a physical battle. It was more like an outsmart him with her powers.
That was one of the themes of the movie. Is like her, she's unlocking her mental capabilities, and not her physical capabilities. She doesn't have physical capabilities like this Spider-Man villain does. I mean, he's basically a Spider-Man, but he's antagonist. He's a villain. So 100%. Like I agree with you. Like I'm not like I don't disagree in any of that.
Right. Okay.
She was had a very motherly, very protective. She kind of adopts the girls at the end. Like okay, that's fine.
Well, so that's
even though she had an APB out on her for kidnapping them, but somehow she's able to adopt them or whatever.
Whatever. But
okay,
we're getting to what this is what I really liked about the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Is if you look at her character development, actually, she goes from.
Can I finish? Can I finish my point?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
My point is that the comparison with Captain Marvel falls onto the whole overarching story and how she got her powers and unlocked her potential, and this whole female and superhero trope. I think it's becoming a trope where the female has to unlock this ability within her. She has to find the power within to be I would say a girl boss, even though it's not so much physical in this movie, it's mental. But she is able to outsmart him in the end. But so she unlocks this potential and is able to overcome the oppression of the white male who's trying to harm her and trying to kill her.
He's not white.
Well, he's French. I looked into it. He's French,
he was.
but also has I think some he's like Costa Rican or something. So he does have some Hispanic.
I thought he was supposed to be Hispanic. Yeah.
In the comics, he's
his
he's
name's
white.
Ezekiel. So
right. You're right. So in the comics, he's white. He's mostly French. The actor. So
yeah. It was
overcoming the rich male. I mean,
for sure.
He's mostly white male. So I'm just saying that's the comparison I would see with Captain Marvel. Though I think Captain Marvel did it worse as far as like trying to display what a woman is and what the beauty of womanhood. Captain Marvel failed worse than this movie did, and I think this movie did succeed in some ways. Yes, I do agree with that.
But you know what they say. You know what they say with great responsibility comes great power.
Oh,
There
brother.
it
Well,
is.
but that's it. That's the issue. With these
Yeah.
female superhero movies, the issue that I do have is that that's the line. That's Captain Marvel's line. That you can say it's and you can put that line in the
Hmm.
Captain Marvel, and it would fit and it would make sense because that's the point. With great or with when you take responsibility, then great power will come. Then you'll unlock your,
Hmm.
as far as these female superheroes go, your female potential, your woman, your potential as a woman, even though usually it means you're acting like a man. To be the hero, unlock this power that's within. That's all you have to do. It's being oppressed. You're suppressing it. Others are suppressing you. You're being oppressed by usually white men, which is what Captain Marvel does. We don't necessarily do that with this one, but you've been marginalized. You've been pushed aside for years. All you have to do is unlock that potential within. Be the girl boss that you are, and then when you take responsibility for the powers you have, or when you take responsibility, then you unlock that great power. I don't know.
Hmm.
I just think it's kind of dumb.
So,
Go ahead.
so
You explain it better than me.
no, no, it's good. So this is where I think it worked well. In the way you explained it, you're right. Um, but in the end, she used her powers to protect these three girls
Yes.
because she was that was like her overcoming the dark night of the soul. Was she was basically becoming like a mother to them that none of them have,
Mm-hmm.
and she was taking on that responsibility of being a mother to them.
Okay.
That's how I saw it, and that's how I thought it was really good. There is the way of seeing it where, I mean, it correlates both ways. It's the she is taking on the responsibility to get her powers to be powerful
Mm-hmm.
and be able to beat the bad guy, the actual man guy.
Yeah.
And that is very true. But when you also look at it as in the other sense of the more metaphorical sense,
Uh-huh.
where she's taking on the responsibility of being a mother to these three girls that were put into her life that didn't have a mother and all need a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I thought that worked, and the whole taking on the responsibility, I thought they correlated it well with that.
Okay. Yeah.
On purpose or not, I don't know. I mean, it was a woman that wrote it, so maybe
It
inadvertently she did that.
it was and it was a female director who has zero experience directing
Credits, yeah.
a feature length film. She's never done a feature
Yeah.
length film. She apparently did like a spin-off show or wrote and directed or something. Or
I
was
think
going to
she has
produce
3 credits.
She's
I
gonna
looked it up.
yeah,
She had
she's gonna
like three
produce a
credits.
Game of
One,
Thrones or something
oh,
spin-off, but it was so bad that they didn't greenlight it, like or something, or they trashed the project. But anyways,
wow.
this is the same thing with the new Ray movie, Star Wars Ray movie. It's written by a director who's not done a feature length film. She's done documentaries, but she's not done a feature length film. Anyways,
Wow.
well, yeah, brother, the directing in this movie was just awful. I don't the character decisions, the acting, the cinematography, so how they filmed the movie, I feel like
Yeah.
they the either the director or the filmer, the those dealing with the cameras, someone was having a seizure during the project, because that's what it felt like when I watched this movie. And cameras flipping upside down and going, and like weird visuals. They tried to make a distinction between the visions that she was having and the reality, which still was so confusing. The whole, like, you never know, like, whether or not this is a vision or this is reality. That was really annoying throughout the movie. And about halfway through the movie, I was very bored. I felt like it was a pretty boring movie. I think, I mean, a lot kind of happens, but well, it's also a long movie. It's almost 2 hours long, but I think they padded the runtime by repeating a lot of the scenes throughout the movie. So you're watching these things twice, but altered because she is able to change things. The whole thing with the cab, where she she finds a cab. They steal a cab. She takes off the license plate. She drives it around a whole bunch throughout the movie. She drives it through New York City and doesn't get pulled over or anything. It was really kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And then, they hit the villain. She runs the villain down twice with the vehicle. So like I get it. Like they didn't have her use her physical abilities to defeat him. Like, okay, that was fine.
Yeah.
She runs him down with a cab and then an ambulance later on. He survives both times. I was hoping he died the second time and the movie just would have been over. But no, they go to a fireworks store or factory for some reason, and she blows up the fireworks, lights all the fireworks.
Yeah, an old
really
firework factory that's going to be demolished that still has a full factory of fireworks.
Right.
It's like it's ready to be demolished. Like that was like a thing. Like it was the same building in the beginning of the movie. They were talking about how it's very weak and it's gonna be demolished.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like where her partner died, that's the same building, same place.
So she used that, her knowledge of the building to be able to go light off all these fireworks and use it against him. It was just kind of annoying because you never the fireworks were shooting off. And I was confused. I didn't realize that she got hit with a firework in the face, and that's why she was blind and paralyzed.
Okay, I watched it twice.
Yeah.
She gets hit in the shoulder both times.
Really? What?
Like, I see her go like this on her shoulder.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
and it paralyzed her.
I know.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh boy. We're almost 50 minutes into this, 45 minutes. I wrote down many of the lines as I watched the movie. It was
yeah. Okay, so let's finish up the story. Let's finish, and then we'll finish up our technical. So we kind of worked through character development. She's lonely, and I liked the character development. She went from this lonely person that nobody liked to
yeah. Go ahead.
A lonely career woman to a mother to 3 girls. Like,
yes,
that is good.
The only thing,
she gave up her career to be a mother to these 3 girls.
She gave her career because she got paralyzed, and blind. She's blind now. The only so like this goes into this storytelling.
Well, she probably got fired because she kidnapped 3 girls.
Well, yeah, I mean,
stole a cab and
I guess.
But
I don't know. Well, and like even the villain, like the dude, he goes to the Amazon or wherever and kills this his partner and the other, like he killed like 3 people. Like you don't think that this guy who's obviously really wealthy and really recognized, you don't think it's kind of fishy that he's the only one that returns from his research team. Yeah. And not only that, he goes and kills this NSA agent, but no one investigates that. He's trying to kill 3. He's not only trying to kill, he's trying to just find 3 teenage girls, which is really weird, really creepy. And on the train, on the subway, like that didn't make any sense. Like he goes on, like what was his plan? He didn't have the suit when he got on the subway, and he was gonna like kill the girl. Like he's gonna kill him in front of everyone else. I mean, I guess they don't have iPhones then, so they can't film
that's
it.
What his vision was. That he
kills them in front of civilians, and then he somehow puts his suit on, which his suit looked really. I think it looked really dumb. It looked like a CW.
All right, let's finish up. Let's finish up the story.
Actually, no, sorry, 1 second. I rabbit trailed. I got off track. Going back to the story, like one thing, on top of like just like learning lessons of like consequences to your abilities and powers, like being able to see the future, but also realize that sometimes you can't change the future. That would have been more helpful instead of just that one scene with the paramedic, which she tried to do. The whole CPR thing. She tries to just do CPR on this guy who's bleeding to death. I don't know, like if that's protocol or not. I'm not a doctor, but this guy's like bleeding to death. But she's doing CPR on him. I'm not sure that's the best thing to do. I could be wrong. Maybe that's protocol. And then she's teaching the girls to do CPR. They're doing it, or she does it in order. What'd she say? I can't even remember. She was teaching them CPR For what reason? Because obviously it was used as plot convenience to save her life when she's
Yeah.
dying later on. But there was a
Yeah.
reason that she taught them. I wrote it down. Because it was just really weird that she's like teaching them how to do CPR in the
Yeah.
hotel. Anyways, I keep getting off track. It would have been helpful, yes, to learn lessons like that with being able to see the future has consequences, but also with that, like learning that sometimes you need to make sacrifices in order to save others. I mean, yes, I guess the sacrifice for her is she's trying to save these girls, and she could be doing other things. She could be continuing with her life and let the girls figure things out. So I guess there's kind of sacrifice, but it would have been more of a better story if like she was given an opportunity to like see the future and see that she has to make a choice to give her life, like actually maybe potentially die for the sake of these kids. But that doesn't happen. I mean, she gets hit with a firework and falls in the lake, but she didn't like make a sacrifice in order for that to happen. Like she didn't like put herself in harm's way for the sake of giving her life for the sake of these girls. That would have been a better story. Even and then they pull her out of the water and they do CPR and she survives. That like great. If she would have like say the firework was gonna go shoot Sydney Sweeney in the face or something, I don't know, and she jumps in front of it and saves her that would have been a better way of telling this story, one of sacrifice and giving your life for others. But instead, no, I can't even remember what happened. So she kills, she defeats Ezekiel, and the product placement, death by product placement. The Pepsi sign falls, and the P lands on him and kills him, which was still a really stupid way for him to die, but whatever. So, anyways, so she kills Ezekiel, and then I can't remember what happens. You have to remind me. She gets shot by a random firework goes off. And she falls.
Yeah, random firework just goes off.
Okay.
And she
Yeah.
falls in the water. They pull her out, do CPR on her.
Yeah.
There was a dark night of the soul when Ezekiel was winning and everyone was on the verge of death. So she had to. That was her moment of taking responsibility for her powers and using it to the fullest of her potential to be in 3 places at once to save them all. Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know if that's an actual Madam Web power or not, but
right.
Was in the movie.
And then like even going back to like the 2 times when she leaves the girls, she leaves them in Central Park.
Yeah.
And she leaves them until dark, which is just a great place for teenage girls to be in late at night.
They're in Central Park?
Yeah, apparently. I think that's
really?
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where they're at.
No, I think they're outside of town.
Oh. Okay.
I think they're outside of the city. Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. Outside the city.
Yeah.
That's probably even worse, maybe. But anyways, and then the second time when she leaves them for a week with Ben Parker. I don't know. And then Ezekiel's trying to find them. I guess the only reason that he couldn't find them is because they stayed inside the whole time.
Yeah, and no cameras saw them.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Adam Scott, like I love Adam Scott. I love him as Ben. Yeah, Ben in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He plays. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that. I was like, that's why I was confused. He plays Ben Parker in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben and Ben. I didn't even catch that. I feel like he did not enjoy this at all, and he just did not want to be there the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he probably is like some of the best deliveries of his lines, but and it was and then Emma Roberts plays May Parker, which interesting. They didn't use
not May.
Spider-Man's
mom.
Spider-Man's mom. You're right. May Parker. So Aunt May is not in this movie, and they don't even use the name Aunt May. Interesting enough. Or Peter Parker. Probably, I guess it's legal reasons. Whatever. I still Sony.
Yeah.
So okay. Apparently, the guy who runs Sony, who owns Sony, apparently he hates superhero movies. Not even joking. Like he actually does. And so he gives the studio who does the superhero movies very low, a very limited budget. Do you know the budget for Battle Web? What it was? It was $80 million.
Really?
That
explains a lot.
Yeah.
That explains
exactly.
a lot.
It was $80 million, but
No, that's why it felt like a student film.
Right.
Because
But
for them it
what
is.
makes it even weirder, the marketing budget for this movie was more than the actual budget. They spent $100 million marketing this movie to get it on people's screens and ads for YouTube and whatnot. It's like,
Wow.
which I don't understand. I don't understand why they spent $180 million and 100 of that million was for marketing. It's
Yeah.
weird. But anyways, the guy who runs Sony, he doesn't like it. He doesn't give them enough money to do these movies.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently worked for Fox during the X-Men runs, and so apparently that's why you'd get a couple very good X-Men movies and then a bunch of really bad X-Men movies, just because he didn't care.
Yeah.
So I don't. And so now So he used to run Fox, now he runs Sony. Apparently that's part of it. I don't understand the whole let's make all these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. It's getting really annoying.
Yeah.
Kraven the Hunter's coming out. I'm sure that's going to be another train wreck, another garbage movie that I'm happy to review.
Right.
I don't. When does that take place?
We need to wrap up.
Yeah, right. I know. Okay.
What are you doing?
Um,
All right. So
like I said, we need to do a part 2.
we got.
But I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. So, anyways.
All right. So we're kind of done with the acting. So yeah, pretty much everybody was
Yes,
bad.
Dakota Johnson, her lines, like almost every line, I felt
Yeah.
like was really annoying. When she's talking to her cat, she just does like a whole exposition dump to her cat about what she's figuring out about her mom. That was really weird. Every line that she delivers to the girls was really annoying. Her lines to the villain was stupid. It just, ugh. The girls never.
No, for sure.
The girls were never your future, but I was. It's like, okay. And okay.
CGI and visuals,
Yeah,
absolutely horrendous. It was the CGI was horrible.
Yeah.
The editing was horrible. The costumes were pretty bad. I wouldn't say they were horrible, but they were pretty bad. But knowing the budget now, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, the CW shows probably even had more of a budget than this did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, editing was horrible. You could literally see in many scenes that that Ezekiel was in where his mouth was not even lining up with his lips, and his audio even sounded off, like it didn't fit the scenes.
Right.
It felt like he was in another room, like
Because he
they
was.
didn't edit it well enough to make it seem like it was even in the same room. Music. Or did you have anything over for visuals? Did you want to say
No,
anything
yeah,
about
it was bad. And then even the costumes or the superhero suits, like I think the 3
Yeah.
girls were okay. Which
Yeah.
superhero movie, they don't get their powers in this movie. That's the other thing, is we don't know how they get their powers, why they have their powers. They don't get them in this movie. We see one vision at the beginning, which is the Ezekiel's death, and then one future vision in the end when they have their superpowers.
Yeah.
That's it. This is a superhero movie. They don't have the superpowers except for Madame Web, which and in the trailer they put those scenes of the girls in their suits. They put those scenes in the trailer, but they don't put it in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like in 2 scenes in the movie. So
It's like maybe 30 seconds of the whole film
Maybe.
that they're in their suits.
Right. So
Yeah. But yeah, music was
visuals.
all right.
Okay. Music. Nothing really stood out to me, good or bad.
Yeah. Comic book accuracy. I don't know if there's any other comics with her younger like this.
No. So apparently there's not much of a backstory for Madame Web. There's a few things here and there, but for the most part she's just an old lady who's paralyzed and blind.
Yeah, which is not at all what she was in this until the very end.
Right. Oh, going back.
But
The reason that I found this, I wrote it down. The reason they teach her CPR, she teaches the girls CPR was in case she gets poisoned, and for some reason, doing CPR was going to save her, because Ezekiel poisoned her arm because she touched her, which still I didn't understand a whole lot.
Oh yeah, she was saying that she could go into cardiac arrest,
Right.
And that
So
they
you need to
give
do
her
CPR. So okay, fine. And they eventually need to do CPR, but it wasn't for that reason. But it was just plot convenience. So, anyways,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Comic book accuracy.
you can do that in a movie too. Like you can do that, like with the whole CPR thing.
Sure.
But with the acting and the writing, like it felt like you just knew, like Like as soon as you saw that scene, you're like, she's gonna need CPR later.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
you just knew.
Right.
So like if they had done like even the acting was better in that scene, or if like they transitioned into it a little better, like it would
Right.
have worked. But like the reasoning was a pretty legit reason. Like she could need it.
Sure.
But the way they edited it and the way they explained it and the way they just all of a sudden she was just like, I was poisoned, I might need CPR later.
And this movie, I had a lot of concerns I had with Morbius, where I felt like on the cutting room floor, there was just a lot of things that were thrown, probably taken out, moved around, and it was just a lot of it felt rushed, didn't make any sense. A lot of it was, some things were unexplained. The things that were explained in very weird expositional ways, and it's just it felt like a mess. Like, well, like, oh yeah, when she's given a vision of Ezekiel and she's talking to Ezekiel about something, like Ezekiel comes into her mind, tells her like, "Hey, I'm gonna like find the girls," or like, "I don't know what you're doing." And,
Oh
like,
yeah.
like I didn't really understand that. Like, how was he able to
No, that didn't make any sense.
talk to her and communicate her?
Yeah.
It's like little things like that that I saw in Morbius that I saw in this that just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Anyways,
All right.
so yeah.
Do you have anything else to add? Anything else that you have to add?
There were multiple lines. People said things in this movie that normal people would not say. It's just even the people on the train, like the dude who was asking like, "Is this the right train?" It was just really weird how he was saying it and why and what he was saying and whatnot, and it just didn't make any sense. But multiple times, like at the birthday part or at the baby shower, when she tells all those women that, you know, oh, my mom died in Peru. It's like, okay, it was just kind of, it's just like, this is things that people don't say. It's just, I understand that.
I think that was on purpose.
Well, it was like to show like she's just socially awkward,
that she doesn't know how to talk to. That she doesn't know how to have friends with girls because she works in an all male environment.
Okay,
but
yeah, fair. But it was just there was just many lines throughout the movie, and the girls and their interaction between the teenagers, they're just same thing. And how Cassie treated them, it was just, she's very unpleasant and she's just a jerk to them. But she would say things that just normal people wouldn't say. And I guess you can kind of say there was a save the cat moment in the fact that she even saved these girls. I don't know, but she still wasn't really likable, because even after she rescues them and takes them and, you know,
they made it clear that she saves people's lives, but she doesn't know how to be personable with people, because with that little girl I can't remember if it was a boy or girl, but the little kid gave her the picture, how she just was like, what do I do with this, and so it just showed that she's very impersonable, and but she does save people, so like that was like your draw to like her, I guess.
Anyways, I don't have anything else visually. That's pretty much it. Let's move on to rating. So this is gonna be fun.
Plug in. I want to plug in that if you guys want to support us, you can follow us. You can follow us on Patreon, become subscribers there, and we have a patron only show where we talk about, now we do mini reviews, so you can listen into mini reviews. Sometimes it'll be both of us, sometimes it'll just be one or the other, and we'll just talk about sometimes new movies, sometimes other movies that we just like or whatever, for about 10 to 15 minutes. And we also talk about the Stan Lee cameos and the end credit scenes. Of course, you guys know that there's no Stan Lee cameo in this, but there is a scene that I do want to talk about. So if you want to hear about that scene, go ahead and subscribe and support us.
Yes.
And we really appreciate it.
Definitely.
But all right, let's get into ranking.
I'm really curious.
I have an idea of where I want it.
I want to hear where you're at, because I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I want to say this is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen, which would mean I have to put it below Howard the Duck.
My gosh.
It was that bad to me.
This was bad. This was better than Captain Marvel for sure, in my opinion.
What?
You thought Captain Marvel was better?
Yes, I thought Captain Marvel was actually a lot better than this.
What?
I'm serious. Like, I think Captain Marvel was pretty bad. I had a lot of concerns about that, but it's just when it comes to dialogue, acting, directing, cinematography, and I would say the story, I don't
Yeah.
think there's much that's redeemable about this. I,
I guess yeah.
I'm sorry.
The
I'm
I
sorry.
just
I'm
I
getting
think it's
worked
just
up.
because we've never seen a female led movie where she goes from a career woman to a mother. Like we just never see that. And
Okay, sure.
that's I think that's
Yes.
an important thing
Yes, it is.
when you watch any female led movie is if she gives up her career to be a mother.
But the problem is the story that it's told to get her to that
Yeah.
point is that's the issue I have, where I don't think it was a good
Yeah.
story that was told,
For sure.
and I don't think the movie itself was a good, well done movie. I'd say Captain Marvel was well done,
Yes, it
better
was
done,
a
like,
well done
because it
movie.
had
A
better.
good
I would say it had better acting. I would say better dialogue, better writing, better
yeah.
directing. It visually looks better. It had. I'd say it had
Yeah.
less problems.
For sure.
In my opinion, I understand what you're saying. I get there's something that is actually good and beautiful and true
Mhm.
that can be drawn from this movie and something is redeemable. So I get
And I
that.
just don't remember anything like that from Captain Marvel.
There really wasn't, but is that enough? Like,
Okay, well think about
because
Wolverine.
this is,
Wolverine was a terrible movie. Like
yes.
visually, directorially, a lot of the acting wasn't that great because of the directing.
Okay.
The story was all over the place, just
Yeah.
absolutely horrendous. So that's why I think this
Why
has a little bit
which
of an upper.
why did we give it a 5.1? I don't like, I feel like I should have way lower than that.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
um
That's what I was saying last time.
okay, yeah. Cuz I think this is,
Yeah.
I personally, I mean, like I said, I think it's the worst superhero movie. I've not seen the newest Fantastic Four, because people say that that's, like, before this that was the worst superhero movie I've ever made. That's what people say. I've not seen it yet. We'll
The
see.
very first Fantastic
No, the newest one,
which
like the most recent one.
oh,
Um,
I call it Fan Four Stick
Fin Four
because
Stick. Nice.
it's
Oh yeah, because they have that weird logo. Yeah, I've never seen it. We're gonna watch it eventually. Like, I'd say that one, and like how, like, we've seen, like, we have Howard
yeah,
the Duck,
Fan Four Stick.
we have the Punisher. I was actually, so I'm surprised that you went up as high as Captain Marvel, because I was debating whether or not this is better than Howard the Duck. And where, like, Howard, I'd say where Howard the Duck does better is that, well, I definitely can't say dialogue was better. I'd say dialogue was probably worse. Well, I don't know. It was worse. I'd say, like there was more of a, I think, a somewhat of a better story, sort of. I don't know. Maybe you might be changing my mind. Like, I'd say Dark Phoenix. I'd say this is well below Dark Phoenix in my opinion. The Punisher '89, I felt like, being a movie that came out in the '80s, I'd give it a little more grace. I'd still keep it at 1.9, but I would say that this was worse than that. For one, rewatchability is big. I think big on this. Like, I'm never rewatching Madam Web. I will never watch Howard the Duck. I will likely never watch The Punisher '89. I'll probably never watch X Men Dark
See,
Phoenix again.
yeah. Well, okay, so that's for same with me with
Yeah,
rewatchability.
yeah.
I feel like I could rewatch this.
I couldn't. I would. It's just, I know. I could not stand this movie.
And
Okay, so let's start with this. Okay, I'm gonna be a little more generous. I'm gonna give it
I feel
higher
like I'd be
than
more likely to rewatch this than Captain Marvel. That's why I'm saying above
fair.
Captain Marvel.
Okay, that's fair. But overall, as a movie, as a story,
Yeah.
what score would you give it?
I was thinking 4. I was going to give it a 4.
Okay, four. That's so high to me. That's okay. Uh, I was gonna give it a 1.6 below Howard the Duck. But
Below Howard the Duck?
yes, serious.
You're
I didn't like
crazy.
this movie that much. I really just, I think I had too many problems. Maybe I don't know. Howard the Duck was awful. So okay, I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna put it above Punisher.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in that gap between Punisher and Dark Phoenix, on my scale. So
But Dark Phoenix had nothing. absolutely nothing going for it other than like a good
I'm trying to
cinematographer.
remember. Yeah, okay.
It was like maybe a good cinematographer, good editing, and decent CGI. Like that's what they had going for them. Like, nothing with
I know.
story,
I
nothing
can't.
with
Yeah. Okay.
themes. Like there was nothing.
I can't remember. I really. I. I completely am blanking on that movie. So I can't say because I don't want to give it more than like a 3.7. I would say I'd probably say 2.5. Like, and so you want to
All
give it a
right,
4.
I guess that's
Okay, so I would say, just to be fair to both of us, like you say 4, I'll say 2.5. Do you want to meet in the middle at what, 3 point? I don't even, I can't, I don't know the math. 3.3, 3.2.
yeah, that's fine. 3.3 is
Let's do
fine,
3.3.
or 3.2. We'll do 3.2.
Okay. But that's the thing. Like, the only thing that I think this movie has going for it is what you were saying about,
Yeah. No,
her
you're
growth
right.
and the womanhood. But I wouldn't say how that happened. It was just, I don't think it was a good story that was told up until that
Yeah.
point. Like, it may have a good conclusion,
Yeah.
a
For
good
sure.
beginning and end. Which, yes, we want stories that, where we see the characters change and grow. I just don't believe that she actually did grow, because I think it was just
Mm-hmm.
plot convenience after plot convenience, and I just don't think she made the sacrifice that she needed to make. I don't think that I I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I just think
I agree.
everything surrounding
You
the
do kind of
movie
get to
is,
the
yeah, okay,
end.
yeah,
You do kind of get to the end, and she is all of a sudden changed, and you can't really pinpoint where she changed,
you know,
or like what made her
yeah,
change,
and
other than
right,
her having powers and
mm-hmm,
the powers kind of being what drives her.
right,
Like there isn't really anything that led her to that. So yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Let's give it a three
Well,
point three.
that's that.
I'm sorry, that's
3.2, yeah.
3.2.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll do.
I
Yeah, we're doing
I
3.2.
I just want to be fair, because that is way too high for me. I and Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We did it. That's where we're at.
Yeah. All
We
right.
have two more pretty horrible films coming up. Well, somewhat. I haven't seen Hulk and, well,
I
Daredevil and
haven't
Hulk for a
watched
long
them
time.
critically at all. Yeah.
I yeah. I Anyways, I'm looking forward to watching Daredevil and Hulk. I did.
Daredevil, then X2, then
Oh, the
Hulk.
X2. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, X2. Okay, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
And Hulk. I know the only thing the Hulk has against it is the CGI, but we have
Yeah.
gone
We'll see.
we've gone too far. This podcast is too long. Let's just cut
Yeah.
it off. We're moving on.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. We have so after this we have our after hours
Yes,
show, our
check it
mini
out.
reviews. So our after hours will be our. Sorry, my ducklings are chirping in the background. You can probably hear them. So I'm trying
Nice.
to wrap this up quick without getting
Actual
too
ducks.
distracted.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have our after hours, which we talk about the Stan Lee cameo and
Yep.
after end credit scenes. We, of course, don't have a Stanley cameo. So there's a scene in the movie though that has a connection to something else that I want to talk about,
Sure.
and then we'll have a mini review after that, and I'll be doing that one, and it'll be Kung Fu Panda 4, so a very new
Yay.
movie, and I'll kind of go over that movie for you guys. And yeah, we also have another show, Movie Chronicles, if you want to check that out, where we talk about the
Mm-hmm.
latest news and things that are happening in Hollywood and the film industry. And yeah, go ahead and check us out there. And we appreciate your support.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate all that you guys do for us by listening and tuning in every week. And yeah, thank you so much. And
Yes.
we will see you next week with Daredevil.
See ya. Bye.
All right, bye.